In front of me, I have the GoPro Hero 7, and next to it is the latest generation GoPro, the Hero 8. Both happen to be the black edition, and unless you're just using your GoPro to just have it mounted on a vehicle, like a dash cam or something, in my personal opinion, the black edition is always the best one to get, because you are already spending a lot of money. It's worth spending a little bit more for that black edition version. Trust me, the features are worth it. But since these two RD action cams are still available to be purchased brand new in retail stores, I'm gonna go ahead and do an in-depth review, a comparison between these two cameras to help you decide which one's the right one for you. So the Hero 7 can be found for just $329. And then the latest Hero 8, you can find this selling for $399. And these are honestly going to be the important things to really consider when choosing between these two action cams. So the primary basic specs you really need to know about is this. Both cameras are using a 12 megapixel camera that can shoot video at 4K at 60 FPS. How does this look like in comparison? Well, in the real world, when you're just walking by, both cameras have the hyper smooth technology, just slightly more advanced on the Hero 8, which I'll go over in a little bit. Jogging, although on this shot I'm actually hand holding the two cameras, so they're shaking like crazy. But the GoPro Hyper Smooth performs identical. But the Hyper Smooth that's found on the Hero 8 has different levels you could adjust, which I'll talk more about in a little bit. But to match the Hero 7, I left it at its lowest settings. And then when it comes to capturing slow motion videos, both of these cameras can shoot at 240 FPS. And here's the video comparison, how that looks like. Now, for some reason on the Hero 7, it does somewhat look like, it doesn't look as clear and crisp as the Hero 8. But needless to say, they both look fantastic. Now, other things to also take note is the Hero 8 actually gives you more lens options to choose from. With the Hero 8, you have the option to choose between Super View, Wide, Linear for a more flat, non-wide angle lens view. The Hero 7 also has these lens options, but you have to lower the resolution to get them. So here you can view it yourself on a different resolution. Right here is 4K 60 FPS with the wide lens option. Now, still shooting at 4K, but I lowered the FPS rate to 30 FPS. So we can now use the super wide lens. And now this is 1080p. And we have it to linear, which only supports 1080p or lower. Now, a special feature that these two action cams have is that super smooth gimbal-less stabilization. GoPro calls this their hyper smooth. And this is how the two cameras compare. Now, I have the Hero 8 set at its lowest settings, as there's different choices you could choose from for its hyper smooth. So you get a general idea how that performs right next to the default setting on the Hero 7. So here we are on the menu settings on the Hero 8. Right now we have our resolution at 4K at 30 FPS. If you leave it on these resolution and you go into the hyper smooth section, you have three different choices to choose from. Four if you consider off. So you have it on, you can either put it at high or boost. And when you switch the resolution to 4K at 60 FPS, you only have the option on and off. I really do like that GoPro gives the users these choices to choose from, because now the user could actually experiment and find a setting that they like for their style. But when we enable that boost mode, this is how it looks like. It looks super smooth. It almost looks like the camera is just flying, like it's attached to a drone or something, because it's just sailing. Look at this. Again, I'm running it at sprint speed, and this can only be accomplished on the Hero 8 in its boost mode. The Hero 7, you only have the option to turn that on and off. And then both cameras, when you're recording, does support digital zoom. But in order for you to use the digital zoom, it has to be set at 1080p. And then for my personal experience, I found out you're better off doing the digital zoom during post-production. And when it comes to the white balance, the autofocus, and the shutter speed, both cameras honestly perform really well to each other. Yes, you could manually adjust the ISO, the shutter rate if you wish, but I personally like to leave it by default, because I really don't have time to like do the grade, and as a novice user, I'm sure most of you guys are too, to keep this video short, yes, you do have access to all this stuff, but the automatic performs really well, even with the GoPro ProTune that they call it. But I want to say, even left on the GoPro ProTune, the color contrast, I prefer the look that the Hero 8 can capture. I don't know, colors just look like they pop out a little bit more, but not by a whole lot. But the transition from going below shadows to light is smooth on both of them. Both of them perform identical in those situations. Just an important thing to really highlight about the Hero 8, it does receive a beefy 100 megabits per second codecs. It gives you the choice to select that if you want to, and by selecting that option, this will allow the footage to capture a little bit more extra data. So you could easily adjust, color correct a couple of things when you're editing everything during post. So it's like shooting raw. The Hero 7 only has a standard rating, but the only con about this when you select this on the Hero 8 is that it does use up more data, which means it's gonna fill up your SD card a lot quicker. But I think it's a fair trade if you do plan on grading your work. Now when you compare these two cameras, I mean, from a distance, they both look identical. They both very much resemble an action cam. But when you compare them two side by side, the Hero 8 is slightly taller as well as it's slightly thinner, but when holding the two, I mean, they feel identical. In other words, I really don't have a preference. Both are comfortable to hold. And then the overall body structure is extremely durable, and these are water resistant, up to 33 feet. Just one thing I gotta really note about the Hero 7 that they took away from the Hero 8 that still is available on the Hero 7 is that this lens is removable, which makes replacing and fixing easy and affordable. In case you damage these lenses, you can just swap it out like so. The Hero 8 is non-removable, which means if you crack it or scratch it, it's game over. Yes, you could get a screen protector on it, but I own a lot of GoPros in the past, and not once have I ever damaged a lens on my GoPro, thank goodness. So this wasn't really that much of an issue for me, but if you have a history of damaging lens on previous GoPros, you may feel that you're probably better off going with the Hero 7 because of that. Although GoPro does claim that this is like the strongest glass they ever put on their action cam, I personally don't believe it because at the end of the day, it still is glass. It's prone to crack, no matter what. I do, however, find these foldable feet extremely convenient, or you can simply just pop it out like so without having to carry around that external exo case that you have to put on the Hero 7 in order to actually have this thing mounted on like a suction cup or something, because there has been a few times where I actually forgot to take that with me when I needed to record. Now with the Hero 8, there is no HDMI port inside this thing. All you have access to is the battery, the USB-C port to charge or transfer data, and the SD card. The Hero 7 is still the only one that actually has this little mini HDMI port right here. So if you need this port, it's available on the Hero 7, but you can still buy like a media mod or an adapter that will actually give you that port back with the Hero 8. I personally never want to use the mini HDMI on the Hero 7, so this never really bugged me that the Hero 8 doesn't have it. And yes, don't worry, both of these cameras can take photos, as both of these are using a 12 megapixel camera, which will take excellent daytime photos. Just on the Hero 8, you can choose between 3 different lens choices on the display. And the Hero 7, you only have 2. But yes, both of them have HDR for taking photos. And let us not forget about the microphone quality. Now, both of these GoPros do have a stereo microphone layout, but in my opinion, I think the quality is much more improved on the latest Hero 8, as the Hero 8 actually has a front-facing microphone. And then the microphones that are on the edges, they're slightly better arranged this time, because previously, whenever you handheld the camera, your fingertips usually would block some of those microphones. They somewhat resolved that on the Hero 8. But now let's go ahead and switch to the Hero 7 in 3, 2, 1. And here's the microphone quality that you expect to hear out of the Hero 7. Now I continued the linear mode, so in order to shoot linear in the Hero 7, you have to lower the resolution to 1080p, and I have it set to 30 FPS, just like how I originally had it. Well, similarly, what I originally had it was the Hero 8. Now, one thing I noticed whenever you put the resolution down on the Hero 7, it's that the texture sometimes might look odd. Like, it may look like I have a filter, but I could assure you that it's using the default GoPro ProTune that they like to call it. In other words, I have everything set to auto. So yeah, this is it. And if you want to improve the audio quality, you can purchase a shotgun mic and attach it on your GoPro. There's a bunch of adapters available for the devices, but I recommend doing that on the Hero 7, because on the Hero 7 you could pick up the Hero 8, you could pick up the media mod. And since it's designed and made by GoPro, it's really small and compact, and it's just easier to travel with, especially when you're shooting these type of outdoor videos. Less bulk, right? Now, as for the UI, although their screens may look very similar, I do personally prefer the UI that the GoPro Hero 8 has, because there's actually a lot of cool innovations, like For example, on this main screen right here, you have shortcuts. You have access to these shortcuts, are fully customizable. You could change it to be a timer if you want. So when you hit the shutter button, it will start like a countdown. You could do all that. But not only that, if you actually go into the camera settings themselves, you actually can modify these pre-made ones that GoPro gives you by default. You could delete them if you want to clean them out, like remove some, so it's not like clutter with a bunch of these different presets, or you could add some of your very own. So if, depending on the activity you're trying to record, if you're snowboarding, you could actually increase the FPS or slow it down. So depending on the preference you want, you can actually save these. And not only that, if you actually go into the settings, you could actually allow it so when you turn on the camera, by default, it's going to take you to that setting. It doesn't matter if it's slow motion, photo, or video. It will automatically switch to that mode. Now with the Hero 7, the UI, like I said, looks really similar, but it doesn't have those shortcuts that I mentioned. These shortcuts you see here are there. They're not customizable, so you can't change them or swap them for different ones. And if you're going to go snowboarding and you want to increase the FPS speed to capture some epic slow motion shots, if you want to edit it in post-production, you have to manually actually go in each and every time and change the FPS rate right there. You can't really save it as a preset. It will save if you turn off the camera with that setting, but I mean, like, if you want to lower the FPS rate, you got to do that again. That's the only difference. And then application support, both have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth connectivity, so iOS or Android, you could download their GoPro app. It works flawlessly on those two devices. I tested them out, and the benefit to that is they both support firmware updates. So if something happens in the future and GoPro wish to improve their camera, you can update their firmware to have your device up to date. Overall, UI, I do prefer the Hero 8 user interface over the Hero 7. They took a lot of customer feedback and implemented them on this device. So in conclusion, since the Hero 7 is $330, or you could even find it cheaper, I seen, the Hero 7 is easily a good value, especially if you always have this camera exposed to sharp objects like rocks, mud, and stuff like that. That replaceable lens really does make this camera more durable than the Hero 8. But for general use, maybe once in a while you'll take this thing to the mud, mountaintop. Since the price point isn't that far apart from one another, to future-proof yourself, I would recommend going with the Hero 8. Especially since you could buy those media mods in case you do need those extra ports for like an audio jack, that HDMI port, or that flip-up screen. Basically, this will be more ideal for vlogging on the go during those rough terrains. But that's basically my general comparison against these two popular action cams. Let me know in the comments which one of these cameras that you went for. In case you haven't bought yours yet, double check in the video description down below, as I have 2 affiliate links, one of each for each cam, just in case they go on sale. Since they are affiliate links, they will be up to date on the latest deals. Now if you want to check out the accessories that I use personally on my Hero 8, I go ahead and cover my favorite accessories in this video that you could go ahead and watch right here. And then that video over here, that's a video that YouTube is recommending specifically for you. They say you're gonna like it. Are you? I don't know. Go ahead and watch that and let me know in the comments if YouTube was correct. But thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you all in the next one. See ya.